Hello, and welcome to Postcards from a Soul and Her Human. I'm the human, Sophia. I appreciate you joining me today, as always. If you are familiar with my podcast, this is new. I'm recording a video version of my episodes, Postcards from a Soul and Her Human. I was inspired to try this after working with Igor Siberia on our series, Breath and Voice Chronicles, which is a video podcast series exclusively on YouTube. So I just thought, you know what, let's just try one of my episodes with video and see how it goes. So whether you see clips of this or the entire thing is yet to be seen, but we're going to go ahead and do this today with video and audio, which is new for me. So anyway, welcome again. I'm very grateful that you're here. I'm happy to be in a new location, also to record. I'm normally isolated in my upstairs office, which is kind of restrictive. I've moved downstairs in my home for a little more comfort, and since it's a video, I didn't want just a green wall behind me. So, welcome to my dining room. um, so, the first thing I want to do is update you on what's going on in my life. The last episode I did, I talked about the 1212 portal and the episode before as well, and how I was opened up basically by the universe with the help of my soul family, orchestrating everything to receive blessings in my life. I had an unknown blockage in my heart that I guess I shouldn't say unknown. I wasn't aware of it at the extent that I needed to be in order to aid in removing it. So the 1212 portal was a celestial event, for those not familiar with it, that because of the alignment of the planets and the energy that um, afforded the universe to send me an energetic ignition or initiation. And it's not just me. I don't mean to sound that way. I'm talking about my experience with these celestial events, but of course, we're all affected by it to different degrees depending on where we are in our evolution. For me, in this lifetime and during the last 3.5 years, I have been on an express lane of transformation that is preparing me for the next phase of my life, where I am meant to be receiving many, many blessings. And this was not something that I was aware before the 1212 portal, that I actually had resistance to in my body. And we are energetic, vibrant beings. And what that means is that everything that we are is affected by energy, because we are pure energy. The outside of our bodies, which is this molecular structure of bones and skin and organs, is a vessel. It gives us mobility in a gravity-based atmosphere. So we are not what we appear to be, and it's very deceiving to see ourselves in these bodies. And I like to think of it as we're in a virtual reality, and these are our avatars. So when you think of it that way, we are the players, and we are the ones who designed the game, and we created the avatar and everything in our lives, and it's up to us to figure that out so we can gain control of the controls of the game, and we can have a completely different experience. And I've talked about this at length in many episodes. Actually, I won't go through it again now. But with that perspective, that we are an avatar in a 3D game, it's easy to see how we trip ourselves up, or how we don't understand the rules or the way the game works, and we spend a lot of our times falling into holes or running into walls, or crashing and burning, which is something that I have my share of experience with. So, when you think of it that way, it's easy to understand the confusion that we go through with our brains and ego at the helm of this ship that we're navigating, this vessel. it's easy to see how we get tripped up and lost. And when you can see from a higher perspective, and I refer to this as the third eye perspective, you can see yourself as an observer having an experience, and it changes the game completely. And that's the whole point. It's and this is going to be really an interesting way to put this. And this really made a lot of sense to me. It's we spend our lives learning how to play the game, learning how to navigate this 3D reality. When we get to the point where we figure it out, the game just disappears. It just falls away. It dissolves. There's no longer a need for the 3D matrix to teach us lessons about ourselves, so we may evolve as a soul, as an energetic being, which is what we are. So we're comprised completely of energy, and everything that is energetic affects us, and we have to be an awareness of that is really a game changer. So me not being aware that I had a blockage in my heart that was completely energetic, and of course it's caused by emotional trauma. It is an unseen mechanism in the body that shuts down in order to protect the host, which is the human body, from further injury. It's a naturally occurring mechanism, just like our blood cells protect us from disease and virus. It's sometimes you don't realize how efficient your body is, your energy is. And I was going through my days thinking I'm free and open to receive anything. But what it actually was true was I still had a blockage that was denying me the freedom to receive blessings without the feelings of unworthiness, which is what I struggled with my whole life. And I think a lot of people can really relate to struggling with those feelings of unworthiness. So the blockage was removed in the 1212 portal. And I described the situation that was so fun to experience. And it was amazing to relate to you about a couple of days before Christmas when I was at the grocery store, and my brand new credit card, because I was changing my name from my old name, who I was in the 3D matrix in the game, to the new name, Sophia Maya, which is who I am going into this new era of my life. I had a brand new credit card, and I tried to use it at the grocery store. Long story short, because I described it in the last episode, I'm sorry, 2 episodes ago, if you want to hear it, in actually the last 2 episodes. It didn't have money. The place was crazy busy. I was left without a way to pay. The lady behind me just stuck her credit card in the reader and paid for my order. It was extraordinary. I had to and it was an exercise for me. I knew immediately that my soul was putting me through to make sure that I did not go back into old patterns, which would have been to fight with the gift and insist that I repay it immediately, which of course takes away the joy from the woman who gave me the gift. It was a day before Christmas Eve. She blew me a kiss and said, "Merry Christmas." She did not want me waiting for her outside, insisting I get her email address so I could pay her back. I would have destroyed that for her. So I forced myself through that not to respond in a way I would have, which would have been coming from a place of unworthiness. I don't deserve this, so I don't want it. Here, take it back, or let me pay you back. So I had to go through that exercise to prime myself for what was coming. And it was just extraordinary because oh my gosh, this is amazing. Ever since that happened, and this was 2 days before Christmas, it's now January 12th, the day I'm recording this. It may not be posted on that day. But a few days later, and this was an example, and I had been given prior notice of this in the readings when I was told that it's time for me to receive blessings. I talked about this in the last episode, A Wealthy Man is Coming, where it is the time in my life now where I have earned what's meant for me. And what that means is I had to go through a lifetime, and it's not always a lifetime. For me, it felt like a lifetime. It was 58 years in the 3D matrix, and then another 3.5 years in near isolation for me to find my inner core again, which I was lost from. And we become lost from ourselves once we uh, grow from infancy into toddlerhood and then to young children and teens. We learn fear, we learn insecurities as a human. It's the reason we come into this incarnation. So we forget who we are, which is a very powerful, energetic being who is just happening to have a virtual reality experience in a human body. So we go about our lives, however long. For me, it was 58 years before I tripped in a hole and fell inside myself, which sounds weird, but it's really what happened. For younger people who are coming in on later timelines, it's much easier. They don't have to go through all of this transformation. It's more natural. So because I spent so long in the 3D matrix and I forgot who I was, I had to go through this introspective period, which was 3.5 years. And I say 3.5 years, I don't say end counting because I am no longer in that transformational phase. However, I will continue to receive upgrades and clearings, as we all will, and activations throughout my life. That's how we're designed to continue to grow and evolve. If we didn't grow anymore, if I went on a mountaintop and just sat down and said, I'm done, there's no reason for me to be here. I might as well lie down and die. We're here for a reason. For me now, I'm in a phase of my life or entering into a new phase where I have a mission to complete as a soul. I came here with a list of things to do, and I'm going to be doing those things. This podcast is part of it. My work as a writer is part of it. I described how Igor Siberia, who I now have a podcast series with, and no, I'm not plugging it, although it sounds like I am. He is the first new person in this new era for me, somebody who complements my energy. And he was foretold for me. I was told that I would be sent masculine energy, and the first one would be a calming, nurturing soul. And that's exactly how I describe Igor. It is platonic. It is an association or a collaboration, and that's exactly what it's meant to be. But he's an introduction into the masculine energy for me. From my traumatic experience with my ex-husband and beyond, I need my soul provided for me an easy access back into the masculine energy by introducing somebody who had a very complementary energy. And I believe the next masculine in my life will be either a professional association or a romantic one. So Igor, and I described this to him, so he heard this as well, is really my first toe dip in the pool of masculine energy to help acclimate me back into a world where men are going to be a part of it. So I thank Igor for that, and I appreciate him very much. And so I am on a trajectory now where I have a mission, and I have people coming into my world who are star family members, is how they're described, who are going to help me with that mission. And I won't talk about that now, maybe in the future, but or more now, maybe in the future. But I have a lot yet to do. So growth is always going to happen. It doesn't just stop. So after I had that incredible experience at the grocery store, where that beautiful young woman paid for my order, I knew that that was an exercise for me to open myself up and not go back to old patterns, behavioral patterns, and reject blessings, which is what I had already always done. So after that happened, then the universe started ramping it up, and I started to receive blessings in ways that I would not expect. And I'll describe them to you so you can be a part of how fun and exciting this is for me. But I was told that it's going to start raining blessings and that I'm to be prepared for that. And what that meant is that I had to be in receptive mode. I have to be able to receive blessings, which also includes love. It's always been easy for me to give, but always more difficult to receive because of that voice deep down in our body that tells us we're not worthy. So I always overcompensated to fit in or to feel accepted. And I never really knew who I was in any situation or relationship. And that's, of course, all changed. It's a completely new game. The 3D matrix has fallen away. I no longer exist within it. I've described that as well. And I'm in a completely new era of my life, which includes a new energetic frequency. in my body, which is now starting to emerge in my environment. And Igor is the first example of that. He's the first person who embodies this new energy that I'm going to be living in as my environment. And is the reason I have to relocate. He's the first person in my world who embodies that same frequency. So he is, I called him, he's like my first, he's my introduction to this new era. So these blessings that I'm meant to receive, they just started to pour in. And I just want to really quickly tell you about them because it's so much fun. A few days after that experience, after Christmas, I received an email uh, from the dealership where I purchased my vehicle 5 years ago. And it was for a free oil change. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I have any free oil changes left. But I immediately realized that this was a gift. And I remember being told, don't look for the logic in it. Don't look for why you got it. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you receive it. That's all you have to do. And of course, each one I receive opens me more and more. So this is practice for me. So I received this email with a free oil change and I just laughed. I said, this is just wonderful. Thank you so much. Probably about 4 or 5 days later, maybe less. I don't want to exaggerate the timeline. It was all within a very brief period of time. Today's only the 12th of January. So just within the last 2 weeks, all of this has happened. This is so fun. What happened next? Okay. I ordered uh, my skincare products from a company that I've been using for a very long time. It's a 100% certified natural skincare products. I've been using them for years. So I placed an order, and a lot of times when you order a certain amount, and a lot of companies do this, they send you a free sample of something. And I've gotten many, many of these over the years. And there's small little tubes or like travel size samples of their products that they want you to try and possibly order in the future. So I'm used to getting those. I usually give them to my daughter because I don't usually use them. So I received my order, and in the order was a free sample, which was a full size uh, moisturizer that I use. And it was honestly a $23 or $26 value. I can't remember which one. But I don't order it that often because I don't use a lot of it. It's something that's very high. It's a very rich moisturizer that I don't use every single day, but according to me, for me, it's expensive. So I order it sparingly. And here I had a full size uh, free sample in my order, which was amazing. Of course, I grinned and I thanked the universe and my soul family. I'm like, thank you. I receive it with love. Thank you for this gift. And it wasn't, this was just last week now. I get an email from my internet provider. And I'm thinking, okay, it was you've been hand selected for, and of course that's a whole title. I'm like, okay, what is it now? Something that that you're going to give me for 3 months and I got to pay for, and I'm not going to want to keep. And you've been around long enough, you just ignore those emails. But of course, something inspired me to open it, and I opened the email, and it was a valid offer. After I did a little research, and I knew immediately I didn't have to research. It was meant for me. It was a free year of cellular service from my internet provider, who also has a cellular department, or the part of their company is a cell service, which I've never used before. I had no interest in using it. And I must say, I've been using a cell provider for the last year that is, and I'll say the name of the company, it's Mint Mobile. Ryan Reynolds owns it. It's a fantastic alternative to the big cell carriers. And this is not a paid advertisement at all. I just want to mention that I've been using them for a year, and it's $15 a month. I literally pay $200 at the beginning of the year, and I don't have a cell phone bill for the rest of the year. And it's plenty of gigabytes, depending on how you utilize it. But anyway, I had a very inexpensive cell service for the last year. I paid for it once last January, $200, and it's coming up due this month, January. To renew. And I actually wrote myself a note on my desk, renew cell service, because I was just going to pay the $200 again and be done for another year. But here comes this offer. And of course, I intuitively knew that it was meant for me as a gift. So I looked into it a little bit, and it is 100% free cell service, unlimited everything. no strings attached, no contracts. I even called and I said, listen, if I relocate this year, because I don't know when that's going to happen, I believe I'm leaving the country. Am I going to be penalized for ending this service? She's like, no, this is absolutely free. You can end it whenever you want. There's no strings attached. And I'm like, okay, here we go. So this is the funny part. I went to, I spoke to a young lady to get it activated. I have an older phone. I have a phone that is, I got in 2017. It's 2024. And I know for millennials or younger people, a new phone every 2 or even 1 years is kind of a habit that people have. They just renew those phones. The phone companies keep you paying the, for the service because you can't cancel without paying for the phone. So it's a brilliant way for the phone carriers to keep you on their service. I, however, have not ever done that. I've always just tried to buy a phone outright, and then I'm not committed to be anywhere. I can move around freely. So uh, my phone's been paid off for many years, and it's a very old phone, but it works beautifully. And I told the young lady on the phone, I don't need a new phone. I have mine. So because it's an older phone, they have to send me a SIM card, which I had to do with Mint Mobile when I transferred over last year. So, and of course, I'm keeping in my mind that the 28th of the month is when I have to renew my old carrier. It's still very early in January, so there's no rush to do this. I know exactly what it takes to do it and how long it takes. So I waited for the SIM card to come in the mail, which came yesterday. This is so funny. So I'm sitting at home and I'm working on some things, which I'll get to in a minute. And I thought, well, let me just go ahead and activate the phone. And I picked up the card and the instructions and I just put it back down and I went back upstairs into my home office and I started looking up something else. And it occurred to me, I said to myself, I didn't say it out loud, but I said, well, I didn't activate the phone. I said, well, I'll do it tomorrow or the next day. There's no hurry. I have till the 28th of the month. It was the 11th yesterday. So, of course, there's never a mistake as to why I hesitate to do something. And I still don't know how this is going to turn out, but I'm going to give you a little preview on what possibly could happen. Yesterday afternoon, I received another email from this carrier that I'm now going to be using for my cell service, letting me know that my free device, or I'm sorry, I didn't say free. It said that my new device was on its way. It's coming in the mail. And once you receive it, there was instructions on how to activate it. And I just laughed. I said out loud, I said, you're not giving me a new phone. It's too much. And then I said, of course, it's not too much. If that's what I get, I was just laughing. I have so much fun with all this stuff. And I think that's really part of how beautiful this whole experience has been for me is to be able to really let go of any of my old ideas about anything, to let go of any of my need for a certain outcome. I was talking to my daughter the other day and I said, I had to let go of names, faces, and locations and outcomes. And once you are able to do that, everything just becomes a joyful exercise or experiment. You know that whatever's meant to happen, you're meant to either learn or experience. And thankfully now I'm in a phase of mostly just experience, which is going to be mostly blessings and new experiences that are going to continue to enrich and broaden my life. And so I just said out loud to my soul family, I said, I'm getting a new phone too. And I said, well, we'll see. So I didn't activate my phone yet because I have till the 28th of the month. It's only the 12th. And I'm going to wait and see if I get a new phone in the mail. And if I do, I'm going to make sure it's free or that I agree with what it may cost me. I don't know. And we'll see if I have a new phone. So that's where I am in the blessings category. It's just extraordinary how this whole new energy has entered into my world, and that segues me into what else is going on is just extraordinary. I feel like there is a tidal wave coming. This is a feeling of anticipation, and it keeps coming and going. It always ebbs and flows. It's never 100% there or 100% gone. It's always a little bit there, and then it comes in a big wave, and it feels overwhelming almost, like yesterday. But I'll explain what I mean by that. I had the most unusual experience. This was probably about maybe a little over a week ago, maybe up to 2 weeks ago. And this, of course, is all coinciding with all the blessings and everything else. The same time frame, which is right after the 12/12 portal, um, all of this energy started to come in. It just started to flow in, and I could feel the difference. And one of the things that I have become skilled at, and I shouldn't use the word skill, what's been awakened in my body is my ability to distinguish energy around me. I can feel when things shift and change, and it's extraordinary. A lot of the times, it's completely unexplainable. It's it's not something I can tell you. It's just something I feel. I did two episodes in the spring, um, Resurrection of the Goddess and DNA. I can't remember what they were called, about the DNA awakening, where I talked about the first time I started to feel these shifts. I actually felt the shift from this old dimension, 3D dimension, into a higher dimension. I felt it in my body. I described it. So I have this new like sense or awareness of energy on a completely different level that I can feel shifts. I can feel when things are changing, and I know that something big is coming. And this is something that happened about 2 weeks ago. I was sitting in my living room. It was late in the evening. I was watching television. I was actually watching, which I don't know about you, but I love Godzilla movies. I've always loved cheesy sci-fi movies, and this was a new Godzilla versus or teams up with King Kong. It was cool. I love the the graphics or the AI, whatever, how they create everything. The creatures look amazing. I've always loved those types of things. But anyway, so I'm watching this movie. It's late at night. All the lights are off. I paused the movie to do something. And in that pause, I heard a screech. And I can only describe it as, well, I think because I was sitting in the dark watching a monster movie, I probably amplified my imagination amplified what this possibly could be, but it sounded like something coming from my basement. I have a split level, so it's not technically a basement, that was in pain, like a creature. And it honestly sounded like Godzilla. To be too dramatic, but it really did. It was crazy. So I immediately, my heart started pounding, and I slowly walked down my stairs. And as I'm walking down my stairs, I'm thinking of all the horror movies I've seen where everybody watching says, don't go down there. But I was compelled to walk down the stairs. I stood at the bottom of the stairs, and I could hear this screeching like something was in pain. And as the closer I got, the more it sounded like a raccoon fight, like raccoons fighting, like squealing and screeching. I was petrified. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I walked a little further into my utility room, and I have a very open utility room. It is like a whole other room. It's a really spacious area. And in that area is my hot water heater and my furnace. And I knew it was coming from one of those too. So I walked all the way in, and standing in front of my hot water heater, I could hear an animal in pain, screeching and then murmuring. It was heartbreaking. So my heart was pounding. I grabbed my phone and I called a good friend of mine. It was 10:30 at night, and I said, and luckily he picked up the phone, and I said, he said, well, I know if you're calling me this late, there's a problem. What's the matter? And I said, I don't know what's going on, but there's an animal stuck in the vent pipe of my hot water heater who must have fallen into the chimney, which happened once years ago. A bird fell in there, and I knew that something was stuck in there. So he said, there's nothing you can do about it tonight. The gases from the hot water heater will put the animal to sleep. It'll die peacefully. You can't do anything about it. Just let it go for tonight. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what the heck? I can't just leave it there. So I hung up the phone. He was going to come the next morning to help me figure it out. I went and sat back on my couch, and I just had this peaceful feeling. Although I was concerned about the animal, I just knew that whatever was meant to be, I had an understanding that something was happening that was supposed to be happening. And this is another area of my world that has opened up. Nothing is an accident. Nothing is random. Everything has a purpose. And I knew this. So I'm sitting on my couch in the dark, or not, I turned the light on, in the quiet, listening, and I heard one more murmur, and I walked down the stairs, and then I didn't hear anything else. And I tried to like tap on the, just to see if anything moved, and I didn't hear anything. And I thought, okay, well, there's nothing I can do. I have to just let it go. So the very next morning, my friend came over and he brought a friend of his who's a furnace person. And just in case the creature was in the furnace pipe, which was right next to it, the chimney that goes through the house feeds both or vents both the furnace and the hot water heater. And so it was in one of those pipes. They both checked the furnace and the hot water heater. There was nothing there, nothing in the pipes at all. So my friend said, well, what happened was, and I tried really hard all that evening not to use my hot water because I didn't want the hot water heater to go on and heat up. And then, of course, the animal would be uncomfortable or killed by that happening. But my friend said, it doesn't matter if you turn it on or off. The water heater is going to heat the water in the tank. So it's going to happen anyway. So he looked for me, nothing was there. He went on my roof the next day to replace the vent that had blown off that covered the hole. He looked down into the chimney and there was nothing in there. He said, there's nothing, there's no animal in there. And he told me the night before, he said that if the animal got out of the pipe, he likely fell into the bottom of the chimney and he's going to die there. There's nothing you can do about it. So I accepted this truth. He checked, though, there was nothing there. And I just had this feeling that there was a whole other purpose to what was happening. And this was such an interesting experience for me, especially in this new energy where I understand that nothing is random. So while my friend was here the next day looking at everything for me and making sure that everything was clear, he said, well, let me replace the vent on the roof for you because the vent cover that covers the hole, which is this, 9 by 13 hole, so animals can't fall in there again. And it was a very, very windy night the night this happened. So he thought that maybe a bird was perched, the bird got blown in. I felt like it sounded like a wild animal, like a raccoon, which of course was way too big to fit in the pipe. So who knows what it was, if it was anything. And I'll tell you what I mean in a moment. So while he was here, I said, do you mind looking at something else? And he is an incredibly handy person. He is amazing. He can do anything. He's a general contractor. So I said, could you just take a look at something while you're here? I walked him upstairs into my upstairs bathroom where I had a couple of problems with my grout in in the floor and in my shower wall. It's a relatively new bathroom and the grout fell out kind of unexpectedly and definitely prematurely. So he looked it over for me, and I wasn't going to ask him to do it for me because he's a friend and I didn't want to assume that he wanted to do it. I said, can you just tell me who I can call, somebody you trust? And he said, well, I'll just take care of it. So I thought, okay, so that's wonderful. So he planned on coming back to do that for me. So a couple of days later, I'm working in my kitchen and I hit the switch to my disposal. It doesn't go on. And I'm thinking, oh boy, what's going on now? And I know, I guess I'll stop and interject this right now. I know that I'm going to be relocating sometime soon. I talked about this in an episode, just the last one, where I talked about a wealthy man coming into my life to completely change it, to relocate me. So I have been aware of this energy building, and this is the wave that I'm talking about, that I feel this wave of energy coming. I know I'm meant to relocate. Now, I don't know anything in linear time. And I have to remember, and it's just become a default in my body now, that divine timing has nothing to do with linear time. Linear time is a way for us to keep our feet on the ground in gravity and to move through a gravity-based environment, just like the 3D game. You need time to keep track of where you're going and where you've been. Time does not exist the same way in the other realms. So I don't know if I'm moving in a week, a month, or a year, or even longer. I have no idea. All I know is that the energy for this has built dramatically around me, and I can feel it coming like a tidal wave. So when my disposal, I was going to say took a crap, which I guess I just said it. So when my disposal, I thought stopped working, I called my friend and I said, listen, I think I need a disposal. Also, is this something you're interested in doing? And he said, yeah, sure, no problem. So because it wasn't working, I ordered a new one right away. He came over the next day when my daughter and granddaughter were here, and we had a really nice time together. And he changed the disposal for me. And when he was completely done, I said, thank you. I paid him and it was completely done. He said, well, try it out. So I walked into the kitchen and I hit the switch and it didn't work. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I think the switch is bad. I don't think it was a disposal." He said, "No problem." He ran to the hardware store and he fixed the switch for me in literally 20 minutes. And he said to me while he was there, he said, "You know, you need a GFI plug right here. It's next to the sink. If you ever go to sell the house, you're going to have to get that fixed." He said, I said, "Well, is that something I should do?" He said, "Well, if you sell the house, which is something that's going to happen, you're going to have an inspection and they're going to see this as a problem. You're going to have to get a certified electrician to fix it. So have an inspection before you decide to do that." So I thought about it that evening and I texted him. I said, "Would you be willing to do the inspection?" And he just wrote back, "Yes." So I knew this before, but I guess it didn't really fully form until that moment. And this was just a couple of days ago. I just said out loud, I said, this friend of mine is meant to help me get the house ready because I'm meant to move." And the scary screeching noise that was coming from the pipe in my on my hot water heater may have very well have been an animal, but it also may not have been. And this is what I would call a manipulation or an urging from my soul family for me to get on the task of getting the house ready to sell. In this same energy, so let me finish that thought. I don't believe, and just you might think I'm nuts, that there was ever an animal in that pipe. I believe that was a universal manipulation for me to get on track with getting this house ready to sell, because I believe this home is meant to provide value for me when I go that I can take with me. So I no longer believe there was ever an animal in that pipe. I believe that was just an experience that I went through to prompt me to have my friend come over, who immediately did the next day, and to start to help me get the house ready to sell. In this same energy, I am having a nearly irresistible urge to purge the contents of my house. And I was telling my daughter this last week. I just want to get in all my closets to start ripping everything apart. I've always been a minimalist. I mean, I guess maybe that's not completely fair. The pure description of a minimalist is not what I am. I just don't like stuff. I don't have very many tchotchkes. I don't have, what I do have are crystals and rocks because they're beautiful. I have tree images in my house, as you can see. I have a little figurine behind me, which was a gift from my granddaughter for Christmas this year, which I cherish. It is a tree goddess, which is how my daughter sees me right now because of everything that I'm gone through, and that's a whole other episode. Um, so anyway, I have very little in my house to begin with, especially after my ex-husband moved out 4 years ago. I purged the crap out of my house. And but I went into my room the other day and I just pulled out everything I don't use. I went down into my kitchen, purged everything out. It is the most satisfying feeling to get rid of stuff. I just drove it all to the donation center and dropped it all off, and I just felt this liberation. But I am in an energy of purge and fix in my home. And I know that this is preparing me to physically move. I know that it is. It's not something that I have to think about or wonder if. And all I have to remember is my soul family saying, always trust your intuition, even if it's just a whisper. Another thing that I've been told is that I have advanced wisdom, that when I share it, and I trust it, it's true. And what that means, it's not that I'm an especially intelligent person. It's just that I have an open channel to source. That is my intuitive channel, which I picture as a white column of light coming from the universe through my crown chakra, through all of my chakra systems and into the earth. And this is the connection, the energetic connection that I have to source energy. And of course, this includes my soul family and my higher self, and the higher self of anyone else who might be around. It is like a portal for intelligence, beings of intelligent nature who are not of the earth realm, to communicate to me or through me. And this is something we all have. This is not unique to me. I am just at a stage in my evolution that where in this lifetime I am been primed and conditioned as a human host or vessel to carry this in a more meaningful and uh, embodied way. So I'm not just saying things that don't make sense to me. I'm communicating to you through my writing and my speech, my podcast, and whatever other opportunities I get, this universal wisdom that I don't need to understand with my brain. This is a truth. If I feel it, it's true. And I've been conditioned to trust that. And I've been told several times that I'm going to say things that may not make sense to other people or maybe even to me, but it's not for me to judge. It's just for me to trust. So when I say things like, I know there wasn't a creature in that pipe, I understand that to be true. It is not a fantasy to support a theory that I need you to believe in. It's not at all. I always use the analogy, eat the chicken and leave the bones. It's up to you what resonates. I'm not here selling anything. I'm telling you my experiences and how I integrate them and how I then transduce them, which is why I refer to myself as an experiential transducer. By the experiences in my life, which I describe at will in raw and open detail to you, real time, a lot of the times, or soon after, that's my purpose, is to translate these experiences in a meaningful way. Whereas if I just read a book, which is knowledge, which is a completely different thing, I could read a book and tell you what I read, but that's not an embodiment. That's just sharing information. This is an embodiment. This is part of who I am now. And it's not something I have to ever question. It has expanded me beyond my ability to describe. So I don't question anything. I trust and I surrender. And this is something that is so important, I think, to talk about. And it segues me beautifully into this next topic. Um, so just to close that last one, I believe this relocation is imminent. I don't know if imminent means tomorrow or a year. It doesn't matter. I am to get ready for it. That is the message that I received from these incredible experiences that I've had in the last couple of weeks, as well as me being able to receive blessings which are going to rain on me. And some are going to be small, like the ones I've been receiving, but some are going to be very, very large, that I'm not going to have any logical reason for receiving. And I've been told very clearly to not overthink it and just receive it, because it's time for me to receive the blessings that are meant for me. And this is important, the blessings that are mine to utilize in my mission, which I'll talk about down the road as it happens. So that's what I've been going through the last couple of weeks, preparing myself, my home. And this all also ties into my changing my name, me changing my name. Sophia Maya is the person going into this new epoch, not Gina Delala. Gina Delala is the warrior goddess who got us here. But because I'm no longer in the 3D matrix where Gina existed, I can't take her with me. Just like I can't take the old relationships and connections, even the ones I adored at one time. I can't take them with me. Requires me walking into this new era completely nude, completely shed of everything from my past, from the 3D matrix. And if you think of it that way, I'm walking into a new program. I can't take the elements of the old program with me. What happens to your computer when you get an upgrade? They erase the old operating system and they put in a brand new one. And that is the best way I can describe why I can't take with me anything from my old life, because it's part of a different program. The connection cannot remain because the energetic thread that connects them has to be severed in order for me to move into a new timeline. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this, a little more about this, because this is so important. I touched base on this in my last episode where I talked about the new era of manifestation. And I've always been very, very conservative when talking about manifestation because I wanted to experience it before I discussed it. Again, I'm not sharing information, I'm sharing my experiences. So I can't speak intelligently about manifestation unless I experience manifestation. And up until recently, I had not experienced it, except for in the way that is true for most of us in the 3D matrix. And I described this at length, so I won't do that again. But all we can manifest when we are in our lower vibrancies, and this is the lower energetic. I describe this as like a slow motion energy. The higher you go in your frequency or your energy, which is what your body is comprised of. We are energetic beings. We are encapsulated into a molecular structure, but we are absolutely free energy, just like energy that runs through a wire, an electrical wire. If you cut the wire, the energy doesn't die. It becomes free. It emanates out of the wire and goes off to its free, open self. It doesn't need a host. It doesn't need to be encapsulated in anything to exist. So we also are energetic beings who don't have a physical body in the other realms. We don't need it. It's only required for this 3D experience. So when you're in the lower vibrancies and you're learning, so you're not ascending, you're learning, you can manifest lessons. That's all you're able to do. And yes, those lessons may be money, they may be love, they may be success, all of the things that you want, but they all come wrapped in lessons. And the true identifier or the true benchmark to being able to manifest abundance, and I'll just use that word because it covers everything, is not whether you can draw it in or not, because you may draw it in for reasons that you don't understand. It's whether you can truly enjoy it. Joy, love, contentment are the benchmarks to manifest abundance. And I'll explain. If you are in the lower vibrancies, and I think I talked about this before, and you want something in your life desperately, I want a relationship, I want success, you work yourself to the bone to get what you want. And once you have it, you're sitting in it and saying, well, oh, this is all it is, or I don't want it anymore, or now I feel trapped in it, which is something a lot of people who go through years and years of college feel. I'm trapped now in a vocation or a career. I go through years and years of courting and I want this person to marry me and I'm going to stick with it. I invested all this time. Now I'm married and I'm unhappy. They're wrapped in lessons. So in that unhappiness, you're meant to examine yourself. Why am I unhappy? And if you do that, if you take the time to do that, which most of us don't, we just look for the next thing to fill us up, the next thing to fill the void. If we look at ourselves and really examine that and pull it apart, we figure it out. Once we figure it out, we no longer need to learn that lesson, and that manifestation is not required anymore. Once you peel all these manifestations away, which are just lessons, these are people, situations that are sent to us by the universe energetically because it mirrors our current energy. I've talked about this many times, so I won't belabor it, but you attract what you are. Whether you believe it or not, whether you think it or not, you can't fake your way around your energetic signature. It is your energy speaks directly to the universe. So if you are faking it till you make it in a love affair or a job or any situation or circumstance, the universe knows that you are not yet mature enough to actually receive what you want. So you get another lesson. So you get somebody or something in your life that mirrors that insecurity or that fear, causing you to look at it, or for it to be exacerbated, or it grows and becomes bigger and bigger. And your choice is to either look it in the face, which is looking in the mirror, which is looking at yourself, or you look away from it and you look somewhere else and you get that same lesson there. Everything that you manifest in the lower vibrancies is to help you open and receive abundance. It's not a punishment. It is helping you open if you only see it as a lesson. We see it in the lower vibrancies as being punished. I'm being punished because I want love and I'm too open and loving and there's just no one out there for me. Trust me, I know this one really well. Actually, I might write a book about it. But the truth is, you're not ready. You're not open. And that's why you're calling into your life these relationships that mirror that. You have to open your heart, and it can't be opened by someone else. All someone else can do is mirror who you truly are. That's all they can do. It's like a electronic program. It's like a robot. It doesn't understand the nuances of emotionality. It doesn't understand what you dream about. All it knows is the vibrant, energetic signature that you're sending out. So if you think of it as uh, a radio station with white static noise on it, and you're in your mind you're singing a love song. All the universe hears is that white noise static, and that's what it sends back to you. So in order to it's just so beautifully simple, but it's so difficult because we are so wired in the 3D to expect complexity and struggle and challenge that when something is simple, we completely overlook it. We don't trust it. And this is why we don't trust our intuition, because intuition is so simple and beautiful and pure. It comes as an inspiration into our body. But then our logical mind says, that's fantasy. That's a joke. That's never going to work. You're never going to have that. And you discount then your own intuition. Again, I can write a book. And you don't trust that you're getting guidance from a higher intelligence in the universe. So you discount it with logic, and you plow ahead in your life, and you fall on your face again, and you wonder why. So this is what I mean by being out of alignment. This is what I didn't say that. This is being out of alignment with your true soul's purpose. Your soul is an energetic being in your body. Your body is a host or a vehicle. If you can start to think of it that way, you can start to think of yourself as an instrument for your soul to do what your soul came here to do. None of us are here for no reason. So if we're wondering what we're meant for, why am I here? Why is the sky blue? Where do babies come from? All that stuff is easy. It's our souls decide to come here to have an experience, a virtual reality experience, so they can evolve. We are assisting with that. Now, whether you refer to yourself as the soul or as the vessel, I kind of do both. It helps me distinguish my behavior from my soul's intention with me. So I refer to myself as two things. I'm a body and a soul. It helps me to navigate. So what I had to learn was, in order to align with my soul, I had to align with her energetic frequency. And this is where we start to do emotional purging, and it just starts to happen naturally. And what I did throughout my awakening period or my isolation period is I went through all the closets and basements and attics in my body and pulled everything out and donated it. Well, I didn't give it to anyone else. I processed it and then integrated it. And then your darkness, which is a very important part of you. Without the darkness, there's no contrast for the light to exist. So you need the darkness in order to be this brilliant light that you are. But the darkness doesn't have to control you. The darkness is meant to be integrated, and then it becomes part of our power. And it actually accentuates or makes the light more brilliant. That's why I don't refer to my dragons as being slain. I refer to them as being domesticated, because now they are in a very important part of my energetic body. They inform me. They are my experiences, my traumas, my scars. I understand them. They played a very important role in me getting where I am. They help me learn. They are my karma embodied in these dragons and demons. And I don't want them gone. I want to understand and accept them, which is what we all want. So it's not about killing or slaying or even exercising. It's about domesticating your karma, which is something that you choose to bring into this life. I was talking to my daughter the other day, and she said, this is, I realize when I look around my life that I am an actor in my own play, that I am the one who set all this up. So why am I struggling? I'm the one who wrote the script. And it's just such a beautiful way to put it, because we don't understand that we're the ones as a soul that created this whole thing. All the people that come into our lives, every experience we have is all part of it. All it is designed for is to help us grow. And we can't do that without the body and the one-on-one experiences with other people. So that's, again, why we're here. So unless you're aligned with your soul's purpose, and I describe an alignment like this: if your heartfelt desire matches your thoughts and then your actions, you are in alignment with your soul's frequency. I'll say that again. If your heartfelt desire matches what you think and then what you do in the world, you are aligned with your soul's natural core frequency. When those things are out of an alignment, and it's easy to see, I want true love in my life. I want a person who respects me and cherishes me. I want to feel like I'm chosen and that somebody wants me. But your thoughts are, oh, nobody's going to want me. Oh, I'm not pretty enough. Oh, I haven't accomplished enough. Oh my gosh, that last relationship really hurt me. I don't think I can open, and then your actions are, you receive someone in your life who is the opposite of what you say, what your heart wants, because that's what you feel you deserve. So that has to translate through all those channels. Think of them as 3 different bodies. All those bodies have to agree in order for that to happen, in order for that manifestation to actually be an abundance that you're able to receive. So every manifestation in the lower frequencies is meant to help you open your heart. That's it. Because the love frequency is the only energetic frequency that the universe understands when it's time to send your blessings. If you are not in the love frequency, and I don't mean in love with somebody else, I mean love here, your own heart, your own body, your own life. That love has to come from here. It emanates from your body like a vapor, and it reaches the universe on a channel that is strictly VIP, only for the love frequency. It goes straight through your body to the universe, and it attracts like energy, which is the love frequency, which is where all the abundance resides. So you can't call joy and contentment and love into your body. You have to cultivate it here first, and then the body calls the universe for the abundance that matches it. And this is why I'm sitting at a time in my life where abundance is now raining on me, because my soul says, you learned all your lessons. You prepared yourself for this. You've endured all of the transformation, which a lot of the times was very disruptive and even painful. And I know I've been on an express lane, so I'm not saying that we all should have the same experience. We're all having different experiences. But in this new energy, and I'm going to say this new energy of the earth, who is also a being, this is what's referred to me as the 5D, the 5th dimension. If the 3rd dimension is the lower vibrancies of the virtual reality matrix that I've talked about at length, the 5th dimension is the new program that the 3D matrix doesn't exist anymore. It does not exist anymore. It fell away completely. So now in the 5D, where our earth, who is a being, is ascended to, all of the life that she supports, which is all of humanity, every animal, plant, every molecular structure. And that's how I think of life now. It doesn't have to have a face. It's a molecular structure. So it's the water, the air, the light, it's the plants, the animals, everything, the sand, the dirt, rocks, everything has a molecular structure. It's all life. We're all part of that life. It's all connected. So in this 5D energy, we can either struggle with the old ideal that effort equals success, or we can accept the new energetic reality that aligning with your core energy, with your soul's energy, and that alignment is what I talked about, heartfelt thought and action. When that all is calibrated or coherent together, that's when you're aligned with your soul's core energy. And once you align with that core energy, this is the most brilliant part. Your life becomes effortless. You don't have to make any effort at all. Not in the old way anyway. All you need to do is wait for inspiration. Inspired action. That's what the key is. So in this new energetic reality, the fifth dimension, which is what this earth is in right now. So all of her life is in it. So if you're in it and you're 12 years old, or you're 42 years old, or you're 92 years old, we're all in the same energy now. So it's up to us to adopt a new mindset. All you have to do is realize that the old way doesn't work anymore. Effort, anything obtained through effort, requires effort to keep. Blood, sweat, and tears to get it, blood, sweat, and tears to keep it. That's why you suffer when you get where you want to go, because I don't want to be here anymore, because of all the effort it took. You have to align with the energy in your heart. What's heartfelt? And then you draw it to you. It finds you on that VIP channel, because all it requires from you is to surrender and to trust. So, and this is something it took me a while. I'm not saying it's something that happens overnight. Maybe this is an idea that seeds in your body, and maybe it blossoms, maybe it doesn't. It's none of my business. I'm not here to change anyone. I'm just here to talk about what I know. So in this new 5D energy, finding your core, your center, and doing that however you have to do that. For me, it's being out in nature. I do not meditate. I've never been a meditator. I've tried many, many times. I don't believe it's necessary. What's necessary is embodiment. Embodiment is the soul's decision. It's not yours. You can't think your way there. So when you beat yourself up about, well, why am I not getting it? You're not going to get it till your soul flips that switch. And when your soul does, you will get it. And that's your time. And that time is really none of our business, honestly. I wasn't in spiritual studies when this happened to me. I was not a spiritual person, quote unquote. I don't really know what that means anymore. I didn't think about these types of things. I just was living my life and literally plowing through it, making effort every day to stay alive. And maybe that's a little bit of exaggeration, just to stay engaged, because I felt so disconnected from my life. I didn't plan any of this. I didn't think my way to this. I had what I refer to as an energetic breakdown that was caused by my ex-husband, who was a karmic soulmate. My soul was telling me it was time. She broke me down. She shut me completely off. She restricted my air. I couldn't breathe. And that's how she got my attention. So I don't want you to leave here thinking, well, how do I do this? That is effort. And I know it's so difficult in the beginning to embody this or to even understand it. It is a lack of effort that is the key. And it is a completely unwiring. It's a complete unwiring of the 3D way. But in this 5D energy, and I know you feel it around you, you wouldn't be watching me right now if you didn't. In this 5D energy, our job is not to make effort to plow through our pain, to plow through our exhaustion. It is to stop and close our eyes, take a deep breath, and find our center. I do it by going out in nature. I look at the trees and I stand on the ground barefoot. That is the way I center myself. It calibrates my energy. It calibrates your energy. That's our Earth Mother. You're made of the same energy. When you stand outside in your bare feet, the earth automatically calibrates your energy. It is instantaneous. It's something I do every single day, unless it's freezing out, which it is today. Find your center. And don't be afraid to look at yourself, because that's where all the answers are, is where we're most afraid to look. But effort is the old way. It doesn't work anymore. All you're going to get with effort is manifestations that require more effort. That's all you're getting. When you can align with your core energy by, don't push yourself through things, don't overcommit yourself, don't distract yourself so completely with your life that you can't look within. This is something that we are designed for. The 3D matrix is the first part of our journey. It is the forgetting who we are, having these experiences so we can learn, and then starting to remember who you are again. And then you leave the earth plane with a body full of knowledge, and you evolve. And maybe you don't have to incarnate again. Maybe you stay in the other realms as a bodiless energy, and maybe you support others as a spirit guide. You know, there are many ways to share your wisdom and your experiences. It doesn't have to be in an incarnation. So I think it's just important for me to just talk a little bit more about what I touched on in the last episode, that in this new 5D energy, which we are all in, effort is just mirroring more effort for you. When you can relax into your core energy, and you can't get there immediately, you have to clear the way. And the only way to clear the way is by looking at your own emotional baggage, and look at it as a closet. Your body is a closet. If it's full of luggage and baggage, and nothing else can fit, then you have no room for this open channel. Unless you unload the closet and go through everything and keep what makes sense and discard the rest, you don't have the access. So it has to start there. But I wanted to just make sure I punctuated that that truth about the 5D energy, and how effort is fruitless. And by falling back into your core energy or your core frequency is how you begin to align with your soul's purpose. And then you're guided from there. I think that's the part that we don't understand, because we're going into the unknown. I don't want to go into myself. I don't know what to do there. I don't want to look at what's there. I know that. Trust me, I can write another book. it's you're guided from there. That's the whole point. When you fall into yourself and you start to open that channel, even though it's only a tiny little hole, your intuition can start to get through, and then you are guided. And then before you know it, it becomes a default in your body that your intuition now is the source you rely on to navigate your life, and not your brain and your ego, which take over as a malady because there's no one else keeping watch, because the intuition is blocked out completely. So the bad guys, and I'm only going to refer to them as that for this moment, take over. The ego and the demons and the dragons, they take over because there's no one watching the chicken coop. They just go in and they do what they want. And that's when we get lost in the world. That's when we run into brick walls and we fall into pitfalls. That's what that is. It's something that can be navigated with the intuition, which is our onboard navigation, and it's always there. It's just whether or not we're utilizing it. So I think I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to thank you so much for being here with me and for sharing this experience, which is extraordinary. I'm having the most fun I could ever have. I just keep laughing every day and grinning at all these incredible synchronicities and serendipities that are happening everywhere. It is an extraordinary time to be in this body, in this life. And I will come back and I will talk to you again when I have more to share. But thank you again for joining me today. And I wish you a beautiful, magical day, and I'll talk to you soon.